So I want to chop it up with you and Hank about roles and responsibilities for Anthony Davis. Now that the Lakers pretty much have their full team under wraps, with the exception of Gabe Vincent, Hank, what do you think the role and responsibility for Anthony Davis should be as of today moving forward?
I want to say him take as the lead option for offensively. But I feel as long as he plays consistently defensively the way he's been playing and can at least give decent offense, he's gonna have his games where he get his 30 something. But if he could just stay in that 15 range in those off days, I think they'll be fine. And everybody else play their role, including LeBron. They'll have some wins and some W's. But that defense got to stay elite.
So it's the defense is consistent for him, but you would like to see an improvement on offense.
Just make sure you don't have no big drops. You drop 30 and get 5 or 8 or something. He got to stay in that 14 to 16 range. And in his next game, he, 20 something, whatever. But defensively, that's got to be the key for everything. Of course, with the Vando and Torian and all those long guys, Cam Reddish locking in. I think they could be a defensive great group once everything locks in.
Let's say hypothetically he remains consistent and elite on the defensive end on the basketball court. What will it take from the offensive side of the court from Anthony Davis for the Lakers to be successful? Like, what does he have to give them on a night in, night out basis offensively? Give me an average if he's playing well on defense.
I would like him to average every night 25, 26 a game, but that's not what he does. He always has a big game, then a smaller game. So, but his small games can't be, like I say, that 10 points or nothing like that. He got to get in that 16 range. The next night he'll probably drop 20 something. If you see like he's cooking on these smaller forwards, the guys that are around his side or centers rather, when he face the bigger guys, obviously that's when he's gonna have his more of his struggles. But if he can keep in that range, I would like to average about 25 a game. I think that'd be solid. But defensively, he's gonna take a lot of energy to protect the paint and all that. But he's got to keep it consistent enough to where they can miss those extra points in some games.
Now, ZZ, the panel, they had that real intense conversation last week, and it was based off of part of it was based off of Anthony Davis, and there was a conversation about his inconsistently offensively. And Mars was going through, different stat lines from AD and other players to either be considered consistent or inconsistent. Do you feel like Anthony Davis has a offensive inconsistent problem? I know there's been like couple halves this year where he's went scoreless and he don't give you 30 points or not, but do you feel like he is truly inconsistent offensively?
Yeah, for sure. That's always been my problem with this nigga is that he literally just can, like Hank said, he can give you a 30 point or 25 point, 10 rebound night, and then he can give you the next night 14 and go completely unrecognizable unless he's getting a couple blocks. So like that's been the problem. And I said it before too, when you compare Anthony Davis to other big men, the two other big men that are the two elephants in the room, and Joel Embiid and Jokic, those two don't give you you see consistency from those two. That separates the mix. You know what I'm saying? So that's the problem that I have with Anthony Davis is on defense he can give it to you relatively consistently, but offense it's like there's always highs and then lows, highs, lows. Last year in the playoffs, what was it? He went off or in odd number games or even number games, and then was the opposite on vice versa. So this was literally a story for the media with graphics and all that to back up and showcase for it. So if it's a problem like that, it's definitely going to be a problem. So he's inconsistent, bar none.
I guess I'm having a problem with gauging how we measure consistency, because if he gives you a 30-point double, but then comes back out and give you a 15-point triple double, y'all are going to call him inconsistent because there's so
Right.
much of a gap differential between the points per game.
Right. We expect him to be, obviously, we putting the pressure on him because we know he could be MVP. He has the talent to. When we look at Embiid and all them other guys, well, Jokic sometimes will drop down, but his triple doubles are crazy. But Embiid is dropping almost 30 every single night, and I think that's what everybody's looking at for AD to do, like stay consistent, just it don't drop really low. Yeah, I recall too, like when LeBron is in the fourth quarter, he
talk
can't
about the
score.
aggression. So is it his attitude, Hank, or is it the production? Which one is more inconsistent? His drive or the results? What's the most inconsistent?
He probably plays Robin a little too much. Like I'm saying, if Bron can't score, you got to pick up the reins and say, "Give me the ball, run the play for me, and score for your team." And I think that's another thing that it's probably a problem as well. Letting LeBron take over too much, and he doesn't do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, y'all, I don't want to call y'all terrible, but y'all know y'all not playing fair, right?
Why?
Hank, boys, y'all not playing fair. I just want y'all to know.
Like Damo said, maybe AD just ain't this nigga. Like he just ain't that nigga.
Maybe you're right. Maybe Damo is right. I agree with that. But it's like the expectation of a certain point per game for Anthony Davis this window. It's like regardless what this dude do in the game on the defensive end, if you do not reach this offensive window of points per game, you're not being consistent.
It's not necessarily about the points per game, though. Like it's about for me, from what I saw when we were talking about recently, it's that last time in the playoffs last year, Anthony Davis would have games where he would look like the best player on the floor. And then the next game, he looks like one of the players on the floor. And then the next game, and then the next game. It's a roller coaster of offensive output. And then overall in his performance throughout the game, he can have a game where he leaves the biggest stamp of the night on the game. And then the next game, he doesn't leave the biggest stamp. He leaves like a dot.
But that stretch of games that you're talking about, ZZ, how good of he was he on defense? Was he good on defense during those stretch of games?
I think he was still solid on the defensive end. My thing is, I don't even expect Anthony Davis for me to acknowledge Anthony Davis as a good defensive player. I don't even need you to get 3 blocks every single night. I know how good you are on.
Wait a minute, I think we froze a little bit.
So another thing too,
until we come back, Hank, what are we identifying Anthony Davis as, a defensive player or offensive player?
I think at this stage in his career, it's defense more so than offense. Yeah,
defense first, offense next. But he's obviously better than most players offensively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Salute to my dog Daniel. So y'all are telling me that y'all identify him as a defensive player, but y'all want to call him inconsistent because he might go from 30 to 20 or 30 to 15, even though the defense is still always at the same level. Y'all still define that as inconsistent?
Yes, on the offensive end.
Offensive.
It's inconsistent.
But y'all don't have expectations like that, so I don't understand.
No. That's the problem. We do. You want to know why we do? Because every single time that we hear a Laker fan, you or anybody else talking about Anthony Davis in the last 5 years, it's if he's healthy, he's top 5 and all of this. And the problem that we have besides him staying healthy is him being consistent when he's healthy. Case in point, last season in the playoffs, when LeBron James had to drop 40 in a closeout game 4 just to have y'all lose in respectable fashion. Anthony Davis cannot provide you with that. Or even if Anthony Davis provides you with even half of that, they might win that game. That's the problem that Laker fans have with this nigga. So if he's top 5 when he's healthy, he might be a top 5 defender when he's healthy, but not top 5 player, because obviously both sides of the floor don't equivalent for this one guy, and it shows it can be detrimental to the Lakers. That's what it is.
Breezy, salute, gang. Happy Sunday to you guys, man. Appreciate all you guys for coming into Lakerland. Shout out to Big Fan Breezy in the building. I see you. Genesis in the building. Shout out to Genesis Highlands popping out. Daniel in the building. Salute to you, Daniel. Man, Devin, the one in the building. Devin says Braun is a stat padder and won't give up the reins. I mean,
I disagree with that one.
Yeah, and
He
who
want
we
Anthony
gonna
Davis
give the
to take
reins
over
up
the reins.
to?
He
Who we
want
gonna
Anthony
give it
Davis to
to?
take it over.
AD not built for that, yo. He's not built for that at all. One IV in the building. We say, but if it was the other way around, nobody would say anything. If he was offensively consistent and defensively inconsistent,
Perfect.
no one would care.
Perfect.
How though? If y'all are identifying AD as a defensive type of player, how the hell y'all gonna say that?
Like, okay, so 7. Is Anthony Davis one of the most talented big men in the league? Offensively.
Yes.
Okay. How would you say that Anthony Davis is more talented offensively? I guess you say from a scoring perspective than Rudy Gobert at his position. Rudy Gobert, Cat. Would you say he's more offensively skilled than Cat?
Are we talking 7 footers? First of all, are we talking 7 footers, 6'11", 7 like?
Yes,
that's
yes.
what
For someone his size.
He's number 2 or number 3 to me.
In a list that consists of who? Who else?
Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, however you want to do it.
Okay, so my point of the matter is this. If Anthony Davis is the difference between him and Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid offensively is what to you? What do you think the biggest difference is between those 3 players? Or AD versus those 2 players?
Leadership number 1. Those guys are number 1s on their team, respectfully.
Okay.
Anthony Davis, that makeup is just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about skill set, it probably would just be efficiency. I think Nikola Jokic is a more of efficient offensive shooter, but he can't walk the floor with Anthony Davis on the defensive end. That's one thing. Joel Embiid is a pretty solid 2-way player, defense and offense. I just think that Anthony Davis has better court vision than Joel Embiid. Anthony Davis is a better playmaker from the post than Joel Embiid to me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as getting other people involved. So I think that's AD's advantage over Joel Embiid.
Okay. So if Anthony Davis I think that another biggest thing is their consistency. You know for a fact that with Joel Embiid, like you said, AD is the number 2, but LeBron and the rest of us at Lakerland think that AD should be the number 1. We've been saying that before the season even started. They need to run everything around Anthony Davis. There's no way that when everything was ran around Anthony Davis in New Orleans, and he had Rajon Rondo and DeMarcus Cousins on his team and things of that nature, that it can't be the same thing in LA, but instead of having DeMarcus Cousins as your teammate, you have LeBron James, who can play off of you and still be impactful while you're the number 1 guy at the end of the day. Because if Anthony Davis was more consistent on the offensive end, he would be in MVP talks consistently. Like the same way that Nikola Jokic is in MVP talks every single week, that would be Anthony Davis, not just for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. Jokic is going to be there from week 1 to the final week. Joel Embiid is going to be there from week 1 to the final week. Anthony Davis, when healthy, is supposed to be in these conversations, but because of his offensive inconsistencies, he's not. And then we have to look at him as just a defender who does have an offensive bag. Don't let me try to disrespect that, but it's just not consistent enough as these other 2 guys. So, yeah, it is what it is.